people with physical disabilities, such as myself, we do have it a little bit easier. When I walk into a room, you're going to be able to see the crutches and know something's going on with me. In general, I do not disclose my disability until the actual interview. And I think because they see it, not everyone is used to interacting with people with physical disabilities. So I find it useful to make a joke because in some respects, especially if you're an individual who's not used to interacting with people with physical disabilities, you automatically worry, am I going to say something wrong? So to me, if you can kind of make a joke about it, like, oh, I'm sure you heard me coming, or something like that, just let them know that it's okay, you're aware you have a disability, they can see it, and it kind of will lighten the mood. And it, I find that to be the most beneficial thing in disclosing your disability.
Disclosure, to me, is a really personal decision, and the point at which you choose to disclose disability is really entirely up to you. And I think, at least in my own experience, it varies from person to person. So, for instance, I'm a person with cerebral palsy, so I use, depending on the situation I'm in, I use a cane or I use a motorized scooter to get from place to place. So I don't really have the luxury of hiding it or not talking about it. In addition, I'm a person that enjoys talking about it. I take pride in my disability, so I have no issues discussing it. But again, that's something that is a personal decision that you make, at the point that you feel it's necessary. I always think it's advisable to disclose it at a point before it's causing you an issue. So before you feel like you're going to need the accommodation, rather than waiting and operating without it and then deciding to disclose in terms of accommodation.
I think disclosing a hidden disability in a job interview is up to the individual. In many cases, it's not necessary. It is something that can be addressed after the fact, after a job offer, and only in the context of requesting accommodations. But if they think that it might help them in some way to make them stand out among candidates, like let's say they hold a leadership position in an organization that's related to their disability, that might be a benefit, and that is a disclosure, but in many cases that can be a positive thing in an interview.
When is the best time to make an accommodations request? There's a couple of different thoughts around that. The main thing that we want to remember is that because of the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Rehab Act, you were never required to disclose your disability. You determine when you wish to disclose and how you wish to disclose. Now, some people will say that the best time to make a accommodations request will be after you've been offered the internship. That's the opportunity where you get to say, okay, in order to do my job to the best of my ability and to fulfill all the requirements to their efficacy, I need these things in order to do the job. I think right after the interview is always an excellent time, once you've had that offer, to say this is what I need in order to do the work. However, you can make a accommodations request at almost any time. I'll say that the time to not make an accommodations request would be after you've had too many problems managing your own disability. To show that you are a proactive member of the agency, to show that you want to be a good worker, you want to say, okay, I know what I need to work, and to be able to be upfront with your boss about that.